If you're thinking of buying a new phone, you need to stop what you're doing and watch this video because I promise you, you're going to want this. I've been using the Galaxy Z Fold6 for about a week now, and this phone has completely ruined all other phones for me, and I own a lot of phones. And if you guys want this phone to ruin all other phones for you, Samsung is running a promotion. I believe you can save up to $1,500, and they're offering 2 times the storage. You get double the storage for free. Those deals obviously will not last long, so if you guys want, exclusive link down below. The Galaxy Fold6 is not a perfect phone, but it is my favorite phone. Let's talk about it, and I will be going on a little rant, so buckle up. By the way, if you guys are new, I make tech videos, so consider subscribing. So let's talk about the new build. Okay, so Samsung made the phone a little bit shorter and a little bit wider. I feel like right now it's at the perfect aspect ratio. It's still slim enough to use comfortably with one hand, but it's also wide enough to text and use the phone without feeling claustrophobic. The numbers on paper is that the cover display is 1mm wider, which may not seem like a lot, but believe me when I tell you guys this, the perception of it is actually greater. Like, for example, anytime a company releases a new phone, they always say, like, this phone's 20 times faster at doing this and 90 times faster at doing that. But if all you use your phone is, social media, texting, taking a few photos, then is that phone truly 20 to 90 times faster for you? No. But if you perceive a difference to be big, even though it's small, then your experience is going to improve. Another thing I love is the perception and, well, the reality of it being really safe. So obviously, this is a folding phone. Shocker, right? Well, many people associate folding phones with being fragile, and while that's true to an extent, that doesn't mean you have to baby this phone, because believe me, I did not. I went to Florida to visit family over the weekend, and I took this phone to the beach without a case because my case did not arrive yet. And I don't know what you know about beaches, but there's a lot of sand. A lot. Like a lot. But who cares? I used the phone like normal. I took photos, I took videos, I did some browsing, I scrolled through Twitter. And again, I don't know what you guys know about beaches, but there is a lot of sand. And almost every little gust of wind, there's sand everywhere. Up your nose, in your eyes, on the phone. Yes, that's right. This phone got basically covered in sand. A part of that was my fault. I did put it in my pocket after I went swimming. And I feel like I had 90% of the Earth's sand in my pocket. So when I took this phone out, I put it in my pocket, and then that same second I was like, uh-oh, shouldn't have done that. There was sand everywhere, in the speaker grills, on the hinge, everywhere. So then I tried to blow the sand off. By the way, don't do that because you're gonna be pushing the sand deeper into the hinge. Little did I know. But I opened up the hinge, it was bad. All I heard was a bunch of crunching sounds. But then, like, honestly, to my surprise, listen. There's nothing. It's like all the sand just disappeared. This phone took a beating, it came out on top. But then later on that day, it just started raining out of nowhere. Why? Because it's Florida. It rains like every single day there. There was rain falling all over the display. I basically put this phone through folding phones hell, and it came out on top completely unbothered. Now that's what I call great usability. So what about the battery life? Well, this phone has a larger vapor chamber and of course the Snapdragon 8 Generation 3, both of which are essential for great battery life, and this phone definitely shows it off. Again, over the weekend in Florida, of course I was taking a ton of photos and using Google Maps to navigate the city, and I never really thought about the battery life. It just never got to the point where I was worried about the phone dying. I was easily, and I mean easily, ending my days between 25 to like 30% of battery life left. I mean, you can really expect about 6.5 to 7 hours of screen on time, which is mwah. By the way, that's with 5G, like maybe 80% of the day, 90% of the day. We were only home like in the morning and then afternoon. The entire day we were out and about. So I was using 5G all the time. Battery life, it didn't care. I feel like it charged up somehow, you know what I mean? That's how good the battery life is. Again, this is just my experience. Please don't go out and buy the phone and then you get like 2 hours of battery life. Because, well, that's impossible, but don't do that. Oh, and by the way, navigating using a folding phone is so damn good. So like when you use Google Maps, you can see so much more of your surrounding area while being zoomed in compared to a non-folding phone. Now, this is key because whenever you're zoomed in, you can actually see like more of the little shops in the area that you don't really see if you zoom out. And you kind of do need to zoom out on a normal phone like this because, well, you can't really see all the surrounding areas. With a folding phone, you can. It's one of those small things that, you know, you don't even really think about. It just happens in your day-to-day life, but whenever you do run into those situations, you're like, oh damn, this is actually kind of helpful. And another one of the almost forgot English there for a second. Another one of those things is sharing. So of course, we took a bunch of photos, a bunch of videos. We were in a group of 6 people. So of course, man, every time I took a photo, everyone was like, oh, let me see. They look like a bunch of like seagulls doing this, you know? So like obviously showing a group of people a photo like this on a big, large tablet basically is a lot better than this, you know, a normal phone where people have to like, you know, like squint and try to push people out the way to get a better view. This is so good. And since this display of course does have that super HDR functionality, the HDR photos show in real time with the highlights being like crazy bright. And when I say crazy bright, yeah, 2600 nits on the inside and outside display. Oh, so good. It's so helpful in the Florida sun. It's like night and day difference. Now, I actually also took my iPad to Florida with me, but I didn't even need it. Like I actually still have, well, right now it's Monday. I left on Thursday to Florida, and this thing has still 73% of battery left. I literally did not use it the entire weekend. I don't even know why I brought it. Well, I mean, I did, you know, bring it to watch movies and stuff like that. But the Z Fold 6 is so good at that as well. Like the movie watching experience is so good. Anytime you know you have some free time available, boom, flip it open, watch a few YouTube clips, or at night before you go to bed, maybe you watch an episode on Netflix. It just works so good. The value proposition of a folding phone, like, you know, yeah, it's expensive. Let's be honest here. It's a pretty expensive phone, but it's a phone when you want it to be, and then it's a tablet for when you want it to be. So it's a lot better than buying a phone and a tablet, because that's going to be obviously more expensive depending on like which phone and tablet you get. But if you want the best of the best, yeah, you're going to be paying for it. I actually kind of feel bad I don't even use my iPad anymore, and I just bought it a month ago. Cool. That's a waste of money. So let's go ahead and talk about the cameras. Now, obviously you guys have been seeing some examples here and there, and I think the cameras are fantastic. Are they the best? No, but they are really good. The upgraded ultra-wide camera really does make a difference in gathering light, and of course, in turn, having better detail. I never felt like I was missing out by using the cameras on this phone. You know, even though the main sensor is the same as before, the software itself still improves it. And the fact that you can use the cover display as a viewfinder when taking selfies using a rear camera is so helpful to get those selfies to be even better. Now, if you guys want, I will actually include a Google Drive link with all the photos from my trip, so that way you can actually view it in full resolution, because, well, YouTube doesn't really do it justice, believe me. Now, I mentioned earlier that this phone has the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, and look, we all know by now that, you know, that chip is crazy powerful, and it'll play any game you want with no problem. And, you know, phones nowadays have become so powerful, in fact, that it doesn't even matter which phone you get in 2023, 2024, and onward, it's going to be incredible. What I care about, and what I believe many people care about, is the actual day-to-day experience, because that is what matters, not what chip you have in the phone. If your day-to-day experience is good, even on a 2-year-old chip, well, that phone is still good for you, even though it might be bad for someone else. The reason why the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 is so good is not because it plays games well. It's actually two things: efficiency and heat. If a phone is not efficient, or if it heats up, not only will it be uncomfortable to use, but it's actually draining your battery life and actually damaging your battery over time. So that's where the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 really shines. So obviously, like I mentioned earlier, I was in Florida at the beach, and Florida being Florida, it's like ridiculously hot. It was like a 108 or 105 degrees, or in other words, around 40.5 Celsius. It was just brutal, and of course I was using the phone, and the screen did not even really dim as much as I was expecting it to, due to overheating. Obviously, if your phone is overheating a lot, your screen is going to dim down automatically to help keep the phone cool, or really to help cool it off. This phone didn't really do that all that much. It did dim the display, but I still saw everything perfectly fine. That, of course, is thanks to the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, along with that new and improved vapor chamber. This phone just doesn't really care. I used to own a Pixel phone before I sold it, but that phone, it overheated within like seconds of me being at the pool in like 85 degree weather, which I don't know if the Celsius here is that, but that phone got dim so much I couldn't even see the display. Like it was basically black. Like I could not see what I was clicking on or doing. I ended up just closing the phone and putting it into some shade so it cools off. Now you tell me, if you've spent that much money on a phone that you cannot even use at the pool, is that experience worth it? No. Like I don't care what anyone says, that's just not worth it whatsoever. But this phone, no problem. Samsung software isn't only fantastic on their non-folding phones, but it's also been great on their folding phones as well. So if you're watching a YouTube video, but you also want to check up on Twitter, easy. You know, with split screen multitasking, you can continue watching the video and reading up on current events or, you know, whatever else you want. Again, when you really start to use the phone the way it's kind of meant to be used, it does take a little bit of a learning curve because there's a lot this phone can do that, you know, other non-folding phones obviously can't do. But whenever you start playing around with them, that's when you notice like, oh my god, this is like really kind of actually helpful. And then when you go back to like a non-folding phone, you kind of start to miss having a folding phone. All in all, this phone has been perfect for me. It did everything that I asked it to do during my trip. It never once let me down. It survived the beach. It survived heavy rainfall. It took great photos, amazing battery life. That inside display is just, it's fantastic. And I can't really, well, I was gonna say I can't really find a downside, but I guess one of the downsides could be that this phone only has, or really only supports 25 watts of charging, which is fine. Like, you know, at least the battery life is good, so I never really ever needed to charge during the day. But I just know I'm gonna run into those really heavy days where I need that quick boost, and it's only at 25 watts. Like, to me, really, that's the only downside, if you could even call it a downside. Most of you probably won't even notice or care. So what? Oh, cool, my camera died when I was talking. Cool. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Let me know if you have the Fold 6. Do you enjoy it? Are you loving it? Are you hating it? Let me know your experience down below. Not only will you be helping me out, because I like to know what my viewers are using and if they like it, but you'll also help out other people that are going to be reading your comments and probably considering on buying this phone. So that's it. If you guys did enjoy today's video, definitely click that like button. It's free for you, but it helps me and the channel out a lot, and I always truly appreciate it. And if you're new here, consider subscribing. This was Mark from Mark's Tech. Adios.